Good morning. It's great to see so many of you here. What I'm going to do is just give you a brief review of the charge that the committee was provided by the provost. So we were asked to review in detail the document and to offer revisions to areas where we could bring greater clarity. And we used several different venues to be able to start getting feedback from faculty. The two previous spring PTRM workshops, we've worked with the UPTRM, and we have solicited anytime somebody comes towards any of us or approaches us with suggestions or questions, we've made notes of areas where people have interest in having clarity or revisions made. And we will be taking this through the shared governance process so that we will continue to get feedback from faculty regarding this document. We developed guiding principles, and these came, what probably took us about 9 months of work. We started working a year ago, and it was sort of, we would move ahead, make a decision, reflect, go back, move ahead, and come back, and we kept trying to find some central principles that would help guide decisions. And these evolved over time. One is to simplify and clarify. And I think that's something that pretty much everyone would agree with. Anybody have any difference of opinion on that one? Okay. How about promote equity and uniformity? Often the provost and I have heard concerns that things are done differently in colleges and that there's a desire for some equity and uniformity. And looking for equity and uniformity is going to help us with what we've heard about a lot, which is, can we move this to an electronic process? So part of the way to get to an electronic process is to look at ways that we can standardize or bring a little more uniformity into the process. And so this afternoon, the art committee is going to be meeting from 1 to 3. And then after that, because they're gluttons for punishment, they're going to work 3 to 5 with looking and meeting with a vendor who may offer us a product to be able to move the PTRM process into an electronic format. So I think that so we've got many of those committee members here now, and then they're going to be working 1 to 3 on the document. And then they're also going to be meeting with a vendor. So I just wanted to also add my thanks to that of the provost for the people on this committee who have been doing stellar work and a volume of work. There's also, we realized through conversations that the committee wanted to focus on, it's an evaluative process, but can we also make it a developmental process? And we wanted to work on making sure that there was a developmental aspect to it. There was overwhelming support for the need to strengthen the language, sort of an aspirational language about confidentiality, and hope that we could meet that aspiration. There was concern across committee members about stories they've heard where confidentiality was not kept. And so the committee is taking those concerns that they've heard very seriously and looking at language that can, again, sort of promote confidentiality. And we thought it was also important to provide greater detail regarding roles, responsibilities, and rights of faculty members. And before we move on, I want to clarify my role in this process. I keep saying we. I don't have a vote. What I do is I stand by a flip chart and I take notes of the discussion and I try and move the discussion on and ask questions from a faculty who have talked to me, but I'm not the one who's crafting this document. I am very careful about, even if I start going there, I will share maybe a view or information that's been shared with me, but I do not vote on specific language. I'm there as a facilitator. That's why I didn't stand up as a member of the committee. I don't see myself as a member of the committee. I see myself sort of as a maybe highly paid secretary. Okay, so let's just talk about where we are in our progress of the language. We've been taking a look at how the full professor criteria is defined, okay? And we're also taking a look at the emeritus language. And the Towson University Retired Faculty Association has provided feedback and input into the discussion about clarifying language and about the emeritus status. And so they are a wonderful resource. The most progress that we have made is with Appendix 1 and Appendix 2. Just to remind you, we've got the policy, but then we have 3 appendices. And what we use the most, and what I think a lot of us think of as the art, is really Appendix 3. But there's a policy and then 3 appendices. Okay, the first appendix is about our hiring processes. The second one guides the decision-making regarding librarians. And then Appendix 3 is for tenure track and tenured faculty. Okay. So the librarians have worked for 2 years revising their document. So what we hope to do is take that appendix and then the hiring process one, and together get those through the Senate so that they, or I shouldn't say get through the Senate, it should take to the Senate for their input, and then take those as a package to the AG's office. Before, we were told we had to wait and do the whole kit and caboodle together, which could then slow down the process. But if we can package Appendix 1 and Appendix 2 and get that off to the AG's office while we finish the main document and Appendix 3, we'll be able to complete the work, I think, quicker, because we won't have to, first, we won't burden the AG's office with the whole huge document, and those other 2 pieces can stand alone. So that's sort of the timeline moving forward. Okay, so in Appendix 3, what we've done so far is revise, and again, I keep saying we, the committee has come and developed some general principles. They're working on streamlining the evaluative portfolio and trying to make it consistent over time. One of the ways they've done that is removing the CENTIF. It makes no logical sense for a new faculty member to do one document when they're here for the first couple months, and then in the spring do something different to report on that, and then the next fall, then have to do something different. So it's like, why do we have a separate document? So we looked at the USM policy, do we have to have a different document? So I think that will make it easier for new faculty, and it'll certainly make it easier for chairs. So and this again helps us move to an electronic format, having some uniformity, and then a faculty member doesn't have to keep changing what they're doing depending where they are. As they go through the process, they may need to add more details, but the general process is going to be the same. And then just the third bullet, the committee felt strongly that we should have a committee look at the document, review the document every 5 years. Not revise, but at least look at it to see if there is a need to revise and then plan for that. And instead of making sure that it was done on a regular basis to have a review of it. So that's the work in progress with Appendix 3. Now it's your turn to do some work. So on your table, you've got the questions. So you've got lots of options. You can do any of the questions. You can help us out by addressing any of the questions. Let me bring your attention first to this diagram. Okay, this diagram, have you found a pretty Venn diagram? Okay. Okay, so I have your attention for a minute because I have to make an apology and I want everybody to hear my apology. Okay? So see this Venn diagram? I love Venn diagrams. Okay, so about a year ago, the president announced that she was going to have a task force about the Faculty Development Center. Well, since, as the vice provost, I'm responsible for faculty development, I thought that I should start getting prepared because I thought I'd maybe be involved in the process. So I started taking an inventory of what we currently have, sort of at a university division layer, okay? And that's how this was developed. It's been looked at by different groups. I've looked at it, I can't tell you how many times, but I've left out a major component, and it was brought to my attention today. So, can anybody tell me, or tell the group, what component was left out? It's part of academic affairs. It should belong up here in this little yellow bubble. And what was left out was the library. So I want to publicly apologize to the librarians, and we will add this. Okay, so you don't need to say that we're going to add it, because I will add it. Okay? But this is connected to question 6. Okay? There was a mention about the calendar by Mary, about the fact that the department and the college documents aren't included in the calendar. If you think they should be included in the calendar, there's copies of the calendar on your table, okay? Another thing that I think would be really helpful, at least for me in my role as vice provost, who works with Hillary and Mary T. to put this workshop on each year, is to review the language in the document that guides that we have to do this. And the provost mentioned at the beginning, like, we're mandated to have this workshop. Is it meeting your needs? Should we change the language? Is there how would you like it to be a different format? But it'd be helpful, and the language is sort of interesting regarding this. So there's copies of the Appendix 3 on binders, full Appendix 3 in binders in each of your tables. Feel free to offer suggestions to the committee on any part of it using the stickies, okay? So you're going to go to work on the document in any which way you want to. We would hope that you would sort of choose at least one or two of these questions to provide us some additional input. The last request is that you have a recorder, and the recorder either uses an old-fashioned notepad to write down notes, or if somebody has a tablet, to type up some notes.